Hey, welcome back to the Fanboy Cantina. How are you doing tonight? In this episode, this is an odd one. We are going to be opening up a very odd item that I picked up, which is this famous comic book creators trading card set. So pretty specific, pretty bizarre. As always, we're joined by Mr. C. Mr. C, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling good. Today was a good day for a chilly day in the Windy City. There were some cold winds around town. We hit various stops around town, but this is the key stop of the day. Let's get in. Let's get into this content because I think we said last time if a shark isn't in motion, then it's going to sink and not survive and not swim. So in that same way, are you a little froze? Are you a little unfroze?
Oh,
in that
no.
same way, we're going to keep trying different stuff here in this cantina. As we said, a cantina has a lot of different things in it. It's not just a vanilla ice cream only for service in the cantina. We got many flavors, many varieties. So before we jump all the way in, good sir, host of this fine channel, Fanboy G, how are you doing, sir?
Well, I'm worried about my internet connection or whatever the heck is going on my end.
Right.
So that is not great. If I then it's probably my internet, not actually me having an episode of some kind.
I think it's leftovers from those earthquakes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we had an earthquake earlier in my neck of the woods, so that was unusual and oddly not alarming because it seems to happen often enough. How about you? How are you doing?
Good and good. Again, we got
Yeah.
some chilly winds in the Windy City, but that's what we're supposed to have right about now. So everything's right the way it ought to be.
That's sure. That's right. That's right. And so now I can't tell if I'm frozen or what again.
You're
I
a
looks
little
like I'm
pixelated.
animated. Uh, so am I a little pixelated? Oh yeah, I am
You're a little
pixelated. I can see
frozen,
that
a
on
little
the.
pixelated. Now you're unfrozen, still somewhat
Oh my
pixelated, but
goodness.
hey,
Hey, Mr. C, talk amongst yourself while I try to get situated. I'll be right back.
all right. Well, hi everybody. Welcome back on a Saturday night. If there's anybody, you can do a little roll call and say if you're in the comments. He was going to be checking the comments. So now that I've said that, boy, we're digging the well deeper and deeper. Hey, okay. So tonight, as we said, we're going to have some rare content, a type of material that we have not covered before. It's kind of an unboxing, but when you're unboxing a two-dimensional object, we're talking not exactly a baseball card, not exactly a classic comic book cover card, but we have a variety of comic book creator personalities to make banter about, to celebrate, to have conversation about. So here we go. Are we? There's the box, the self same box
Here
to
is the
which
box.
we refer.
Yes, and hey there, Jim Campbell. Welcome to the live stream. Always great to have you here. Hey, and let me show you my shirt for today. I am wearing the Ukraine shirt, Ukraine shirt that I just got this week.
That,
What shirt are you wearing?
Well, see now
Oh,
you all got a shirt that you're saying something in your shirt, and I'm saying something totally different in my shirt. But we got a Chicago pizza with some Nike drip and the cheese, second city to none. This
nice.
this shirt is somehow affiliated to Itahara Design Studios. So that's something we can maybe comment on a little bit later if Mr. Itahara himself is finding his way to the chat.
Sounds
But hey,
good.
again, Cantina says
That's good.
here's a little bit of seriousness in a shirt. Here's a little bit of a giant slice of a pizza in a shirt.
And so, but before we get started, I think you wanted to share an update or a clarification from last week.
Yeah. Do you want to run the pictures on this, or do you want me to go?
I got it.
So I was kind of right and kind of wrong. Let's do the thing where we peek on the side of the pictures. So here's Real Art Collectibles in Berwyn. So just earlier today, as I kind of referenced, had some fun stops earlier in the day. I was at Real Art Collectibles. Now, in the sense that I said that the Horribles store wasn't where it used to be, we were right on and accurate for that. However, when I said it's not in the new place anymore either. Well, it kind of is and kind of isn't. So after Horribles moved, it ended up to be right next door to Real Art. Can we jump back to the Real Art? There we go. So then for a few years, they were right next door neighbors to each other. Fast forward a bit, and Horribles isn't there anymore, but a lot of the material, and as we can see, the sign, that classic beautiful logo that was at the exterior of the store, is now inside Real Art Collectibles. So I just wanted to self-fact check, set the record straight. So Horribles is kind of gone, but mostly dead, but not completely dead. It's not all the way gone. And if anybody's local and in the area, and maybe you're a fan of Berwyn itself, maybe you're a fan of a great variety of a cantina-like atmosphere in a store, from movie posters to movie magazines to comic books to Funkos to, as we've been saying, just finding that really cool shop that has a really cool vibe with a wide variety of stuff in there to check out. So Real Art, real good time to be there. And so I wanted to fact check and not have
that's good.
Gone with the slightly erroneous, in part wrong information that I kicked out last week.
No, that's okay. That's quite all right. And it's out on Berwyn, you said.
On Stanley Street, Stanley Avenue, right across from McNeil Hospital, right across from a Berwyn train stop. It's right there.
Very nice, very nice. And I to call the audible. So you added some stuff into our overlays. Do you want to cover this now or later?
Well, which way were we going to go? We're going to do this stuff before the cards, or come to it after the cards?
Nah, let's come to it after the cards.
All right, let's not delay the people. They're here for the headline event. We'll get some other banter involved, but let's cut straight to the main event.
So let me ask you: did you collect trading cards as a kid? Because I know you're a big comic book guy. I definitely remember that. But did you collect cards at all?
Now that's either a trick question or a memory gap question on your part, my friend.
Because
those Star Wars trading cards, for sure. Whatever year it all started, that remains shrouded throughout our history. But there is no question that the Star Wars trading cards, I can't remember if 3PO was harder to locate or if R2-D2 was harder to locate. So going back to those, absolutely, the Star Wars trading cards were the first collector cards or trading cards I can remember doing business with. Now, there may well have been other ones along the way that just aren't to my memory. But if we're going to come ahead to the 90s, when Toy Biz and Topps and Marvel were all doing this and that, cross-promoting.
Yes. Right.
There were some other cards going on around that time, but I wasn't a big card guy. I wasn't a baseball card guy in a big way. When McDonald's had the Chicago Bears tribute cards for some of the Bears players, I had those. But now I've said a heck of a lot about cards, and I see the picture that's rising up out of the bottom of the screen. So take us there, sir. Take us there.
So so in my hands, the reason why I'm looking down, in my hands, I have some cards. So this is a sticker, actually. In the Star Wars trading cards, you got several cards, but then you also got a sticker. And then on the back were these designs that could then be used to populate a thing. And so this is the letter Y and U, which is kind of random. So I have these cards. You're right. I used to, just like you, I used to collect, I used to collect the Star Wars cards. But then in my hands, I've got all of these other ones. So this is the Michael Jordan, one of the many. It's not, I don't think, a particular collectible or anything like that. Actually, I'm going to flip some stuff on these cards, which you could scratch off, and then it was like a game. So you only got one chance at this. This was the Frogger trading card. So I had these, and I had Where's the other one? Oh yeah, and then I really like the car that you can see up on the side. This is a George Barris car, used in Hollywood productions and of that era.
Can we go back to the card?
Oh yeah,
That's what I'm doing this with the glasses. I'm trying to read. So it says bunk, bed, buggy. Is there any description on the back of the car? I'm thinking it looks kind of like a Munsters Dracula, but it's not. But it's a bunk bed on top. It's not bed on the broomsticks.
So
what do we got? Okay,
so we can read it all together here.
You get me out of the way. Let me read some stuff.
But this really is a double bed on wheels. There are two steering wheels, one upper and one lower. The body is an original Western-styled antique bed, and the radiator and all lights are antique brass house lights. The bed frames are natural wood, and so this thing is actually a sticker. Interestingly enough. Not a trading card. So I've been having a bunch of fun, looking at these cards that I have forgotten. But in the pile were these things. So these cards are from the 1984, and it's covers of various comic books, and then on the back is a short synopsis of each issue. I don't remember getting these things, but I'm glad I have them. They're very cool. The Knight Rider and Man Thing here. There was a Nick Fury one. I think I have others. I just, it was just kind of random amongst my stuff.
I gotta feel. I do feel. I don't think I know about these, or if I did know about them, they were totally deep cuts, memory erase. But each of those covers is a great cover.
Yeah, no, they're beautifully done. They're beautifully done. Of rendering it, you've got the white background or the white border on it. The Captain Marvel, and what didn't I do? Yeah. Anyways, so I've got other stuff I didn't take a picture of, but I don't remember having these Spawn cards. I don't know when I would have bought these, but I got those. And the second Crow movie had trading cards for some reason. But not the first one. So there's like this period of the 90s, like with the Image Spawn cards and this thing that we're going to unbox here, where trading cards just became commonplace. And with this item, I wanted to find more information about it because there was this post on Twitter where this person, Erica Henderson, is going through apparently her folks' stuff and comes across these trading cards of comic book creators. And amongst the most bizarre is Todd McFarlane without a shirt on. And so I had to learn more. What the heck is this? So that's what we got here today, an actual prop that we're going to open up. Tell me not to. I should open this up, right?
Well, it would be kind of difficult to manifest the advertised content of tonight's program without opening the box.
It would be a very short episode.
As you're taking a moment to do that, I guess I could just go ahead and let you concentrate on that, and I could comment. So as we were just seeing those four comic covers before, so you had a classic Jack Kirby Thor Tales of Asgard up in the corner. In the lower corner, then we're looking at some classic Sternenko on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So just the contrast between art styles. Like Kirby was definitely the house style for Marvel, and then the young blazing gun of Sternenko comes in and it has a very different approach to the storytelling, the scene setting, the line work, all of it. A very different stylized person than Kirby. And now if I could hang out for a minute with Knight Rider, I won't jump up and try to find it, but that one's the 25-cent number one. So somewhere, again, speaking of Chicago institutions and places that are no longer with us, whatever the exact address was, but was real close to Wrigley Field at the time, was Yesterday's. And I do have some old pics in the phone before it got knocked down or shuttered altogether. But I had picked up the 12-cent #1 of Knight Rider. And again, before Ghost Rider was the guy with the flaming skull, before that character came to be, then Knight Rider was, yeah, I'm coming, Campbell. I'm coming to that. So the character was called Ghost Rider until Flaming Skull character took the mantle of Ghost Rider. And so here's Knight Rider, Phantom Rider, a man of many monikers. Carter Slade, Hamilton Slade. I'd have to do a little homework. But yeah, so look at that. Before Moon Knight was the only guy in all white. Here he is, and that would be his thing. He was a Western. So, I mean, you could slot him into superhero territory. You could slot him into a Western gunslinger comic. But that was his gimmick, or that was his thing. He had some kind of powder, that luminescent powder that he would put on himself. And so he could make it appear that he was just a floating head in a headless horseman kind of a vein, or he could cloak himself then by dismissing the powder. But then he was believed to be a glowing ghost in the night, and he's with his horse. So borrowing from your Zorros and borrowing from your other horse riding characters, Lone Ranger, borrowing from the entire Western genre. So again, it's not a top character, but exactly before Moon Knight was the glowing guy in white. You had your Knight Rider, Ghost Rider, Phantom Rider, and this is good stuff. I'm enjoying.
All right, so I have opened up the box here. This is the famous comic book creators trading cards, and you can see from this is before I opened it up. It's got at the bottom photos, birthdays, stats, and credits with shots of none other than George Perez, Sergio Aragonese, and Todd McFarlane. And it's from Eclipse Enterprises back in 1992. You can see from the list all of these very bizarre topics that they had chosen. Like you could get, I don't know if they actually made these things, but you could get cards about the drug wars, the rise and fall of the Soviet Union, friendly dictators, which
friendly dictators.
is not many cards in it, and
it's the same book. It's a series of cards without too many cards.
you get it's. The joke's on you. It's an empty pack, but and the savings and loan scandal, right? Because we're in the 90s with this thing, and the famous comic book creator. So this box was sealed. I have now opened it up, and here we go. This is the. Let me get rid of the overlay. So this is the box, and there are a ton of these things. I don't plan. So if you're watching, I don't plan on opening every single one of these because this will be a very long live stream. But it's there's quite a lot in here. Yeah, and each pack is individually wrapped, right? So just like any other pack at the time. Oh, amongst my stuff, I did find this pack, which I'm happy to send to you. See if you ever want an Alan Thicke training card. No.
That's I'm that might be a future content opportunity right there.
Yeah,
we're not trying to overcrowd this show. We're not trying to no wine before it's time. We're not trying to pull the cake out of the oven before the timer dings. So let's keep a tracker on that one.
All right.
I was trying to, again. I know that Sven, as we featured Sven last week, had a that was part of his banter one time to just keep taking shots at Alan Thicke when he had his late night talk show. So, but maybe there's a way to tie a bunch of stuff together. But
there you go.
But here we go. So I hear the sounds. I believe the first pack is.
The pack is open. So what's going to be awkward here is, Mr. C, You are the comic book expert, or certainly exponentially better than I am. So we're going to see how this goes. Although it looks like we have some stellar ones, I'm going to add the close-up cam to the stream. This is a card from amongst those Marvel cards. So we'll put that one away. The first one up is none other than Bob Kane.
Oh, the ever controversial Bob Kane, writer, artist, painter. You can see over his shoulder, his backdrop dressing, a little bit of Joker on the phone there. Or
Like
no, maybe there was, but at that time the phone might have been the little thing where you talked over here and held the earpiece over here. Bob Kane. So, okay, my thoughts on Bob Kane, watching the 1989 Batman movie, I'm like, well, how come, I used to stuff, well, there was Stan and Jack, and even within crediting Stan and Jack, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby together, there was enough controversy about who made which contribution exactly. But so, Bob, well, I'm like, why is Bob Kane getting credited on his own for this? And it wasn't until years later that it became more common knowledge that Bill Finger made some co-creator significant contribution to the invention of the Batman character. But controversy though it may be, I think it's fair to say that we would not have the Batman character as he exists today, as he existed through time without Bob Kane.
These cards are super wild here, where you've got, why is it still falling down? It wasn't falling in rehearsal. So you got the nice picture, and I think as kind of a time capsule, I think Bob Kane was still alive at the time in 1992. I don't know exactly, but you've got on the card, some of his stats, as it were. And so let me go to the one shot here with the card. So we've got why won't it go that way? Why is it going I know why. Okay. So from this, you can see that he was born October 25th, 1917 in New York City, has a home in Los Angeles, writes with his right hand and draws with his right hand, and went to school at the Commercial Art Studio. And yes, of course, right next to his bio there, you've got his work in Batman. Bob frequently exhibits his Batman and modernist paintings in one-man art shows. So that's pretty cool right there with the format that they've got.
Varying from here's baseball stats, pitches, right, throws left, bats this way, ERA this, rookie stats that. So it is an interesting conversion of the format into comic creators.
Yeah. No, but I'm wondering, right? Is it like a thing where there's people who write and draw with their alternate hands? Is that a thing?
Ooh.
I mean, that's really impressive.
Would be.
Maybe we'll find one. So here's Wally Wood, writer, artist, painter, letterer, editor, and publisher. I think he's from the 50s, though. No, right? So with Wally Wood, Wallace Wood, born June 17th, 1927, in Minnesota. He passed away in 1981 in California. Wrote and drew with his right hand, and went to the cartoonist and illustration school. Worked on Will Eisner's Spirit, drew Fu Manchu, some horror, westerns, and other work.
Honestly, not as familiar with Wallace Wood, as I am with some other creators and content generators, but I definitely recognize the name as a legend within the industry. The horror stuff was definitely he spent, so let's say other characters, if it's the 50s and you're a Jack Kirby or you're a John Romita Sr., you're probably doing some romance stuff before the superhero stuff breaks big again. So in that similar kind of way, Wallace Wood was doing different genres at different periods in his career. But I guess I'm gonna say you don't get a card in the series if you're not a big character, and clearly, definitely a comics legend. Parenthetically, it's also interesting comparing this to the Bob Kane card. It's like as movies were being colorized, black and white movies were being colorized in that era. It seems that we might have been taking some. It has the appearance that some older black and white photos were color touched to put these cards together.
Yeah, I'm just thumbing quickly through this deck, and it seems like this one's really the jackpot. So here we've got. I'm going to try to get rid of the names if I can in the settings, because the close up is a little. It's not okay. How do I get rid of it? Okay, I can't figure it out.
That's
so
right.
I'm just going to scoot it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So here we got Rick Geary, writer, artist, colorist, and letterer. And so Rick worked on Rick worked on Murder at the Hollywood Hotel. So here we have a lefty, born in 1946 in Kansas City. Lives in New York, writes and draws with his left, went to school at the University of Kansas. Had worked, his first job in comics was with Fear and Laughter with Kitchen Sink Comics, continued on to National Lampoon, Bop, Eclipse Magazine, Dark Horse Presents, and a number of other things.
100% completely unfamiliar. Now, I've never seen this man before in my life. I'm not familiar with the name, and I'm not trying to disparage or discredit. I'm just saying there are significant limitations and gaps in my knowledge. I would just say for the Wichita paper, maybe that's some homework to follow up. Was that in the comic strip format, or was that maybe more of a Denny O'Neil kind of a thing where he was writing actual news articles and then bridged over into writing comics? So I'd just be curious off of that. But here we have Timothy
Bradstreet, colorist, artist. We don't have to go through every one of these in order.
There you go.
But I'm really digging this. I mean, they are very well done. They've got a nice color to them. It does feel almost 80s in the color palette choice. Here we have Joe Staten, artist and art director. You've got the unusual kind of highlights in the colors for the borders. This is Ken Macklin, a writer and artist and painter. But with this deck, I think there's a lot of great ones. I'll be honest, I don't think I've heard of a good many of the folks in this one. This is actually the first woman that we've found in the deck. This is Trina Robbins. Trina had worked on Betty Boop merchandise apparently, and had done some other things as well with It Ain't Me, Babe. There's women's comics, things with Kitchen Sink comics as well. Yeah.
Probably why it wasn't in my young guy wheelhouse if she was doing Barbie and other female-centered work. But hey, great that she. Who's this now with this?
Yep.
Mustache here.
So here we have Len.
Oh, look at the hair on Len, man.
Yeah, wow. This is of the time, huh?
All right, you don't get any bigger than Len. Flip that card, sir, and drop those stats. Creator. There it is. Putting the X-Men on the map. I see. I didn't realize he was a penciler and switched to writer. Castle of Frankenstein, interesting, but here we go. Co-created Wolverine and the new X-Men and Iron Fist and Swamp Thing. So again, as the X-Men exploded as a cultural phenomenon on the comics page, to the cartoon screen, to the live action movie house, we get to none of that. Now let me say, it was shortly after he got the ball started, he passed the baton to Chris Claremont. That being said, Claremont, legend, X-Men, the godfather of the X-Men, sometimes referred to as. But had Len not sat down with Dave Cockrum and built some visual characters, and Dave Cockrum gets a lot of credit for the visuals and a lot of credit for Nightcrawler and Storm and Colossus, as Cockrum and Len Wein sitting down together and putting it all together for the X-Men reboot, to bring in those, at the time, new X-Men characters after the first 5 X-Men, or the first 7. Wow, Len is definitely Len is big.
It's a time capsule in this thing. Oh, and then this particular pack, I think, even though I just said I don't know a good number of them, we end this single pack with none other than Will Eisner, iconic figure here, writer, artist, painter, letterer, editor, and publisher. And let's read about Will. Born in, it's funny, a lot of them seem to be born in 1917 in New York, New York. Lives in Florida, draws and writes with his right hand, and went to the Art Students League, and a pioneer in the golden age of comics, right here.
Creating the spirit, right there. let me put one note of significance on my bio, on my resume. I'm going to create the character of the spirit. So you got that going for you. That's pretty huge. Now, some of the material in the spirit didn't age necessarily well,
right?
And so that's regrettable. That's unfortunate. However, the effect, the influence this man had on his contemporaries and on the generations to follow, he's definitely a golden age legend, a founding father. I hope I'm not wrong or too far wrong to say some people attribute Will Eisner with inventing the graphic novel, with the Contract 2 God or the Contract 4 God. Again, we were a little bit winging it,
Yeah.
Anyway, but so super legend Will Eisner.
And then the other card in here, oh, it's frozen. Okay, the other card, the last card of this pack is Jack Kirby, who was alive at the time. So again, these cards are from 1992, so he was still alive at the time. The writer, artist, painter, and editor, and publisher, and just the architect of so much of what is now our entertainment.
Again, with the 1917. Last time I said we didn't want to say who's the mayor and who's the governor, but I want to throw this one out. But also born in 1917 is one John Francis Kennedy. So it's for reference to who was coming up when. My wife's grandma also born in 1917. Maybe she's not as well known as the Kennedy family, but locally within our sphere, a significant matriarch within the family. Look again, Kirby Simon, Captain America. Again, right there. If you got nothing else on your resume but for Captain America, that's a full and a significant resume. But then again, talking about the idea of reinventing yourself through the decades, talk about how I'm going to throw out some musical comparisons to Miles Davis changed the style of his music, and ripple waves followed. Prince changed the style of his music, and ripple waves followed. That same concept applies to Jack Kirby. He changed his style, and it shook up the industry. I mean, they talk about the kinetic energy. Talk about Kirby did so much, and let's skip over the controversial things but for a brief mention, did Stan do this? Did Jack do that? Who gets credit for what? But Kirby, you can't get any better than Kirby. And I'm looking off into the distance to I got some Kirby books over there, and it's okay. They were talking about collecting comics, talking about first impressions. Sometimes we say this was the first time I encountered this character was in cartoon format in the Super Friends or what have you. So again, my first entry as a fourth grade person into the world of the X-Men, simultaneously, X-Men issue 137, Claremont and Byrne was out on the stands, and then the reprint issue of whatever the real issue number was, but it was in the early single digits, where Magneto is out trying to recruit the Submariner, and the X-Men are also at the same time out there trying to recruit the Submariner. So in other words, I'm trying to say Kirby drew, co-plotted, influenced one of the first comics that ever led to me getting all the rest of those comics that are on the wall over there. We could do a whole special on Kirby, but for the point of sticking within the format, let me just, you can't get any better than Jack Kirby, and there's a reason he was called the King, and he was truly ought to be recognized as a king, the king of comics.
Yeah, it's wild that in this single deck, in the first deck, and I don't know how random it is, but you've got true titans of comic book history in this first pack here. So I have opened up another pack, and just like any trading card pack, I've got a duplicate already. So that's
yes, our first duplicate.
Yeah.
Jump for a second in the right next to Len Wein was Doug. Oh, yeah. I won't talk about names I can't say. Is it Monique DeMont? So if we can flip over Doug, a definite legend on a couple of books here. Interesting that would be the image there, but okay. So now we're a Chicago guy. There you go. That much I didn't know. So now I'm embarrassed of that. Born in 48. So clearly now a generation separate of your Kirbys and your Eisners. Again, master of Kung Fu. I'm seeing there, but where's the bat? There we go. Batman and Detective Inspector and Moon Knight. So as we can debate how similar or how different are Batman and Moon Knight, significant contributor to Moon Knight, significant contributor to Batman. Again, not as well known to me as are some of these other creators on the cards, but can't deny the significant influence of Doug. I hope I can have someday. Somewhere it's got to be out there. How to say the man's name.
So we got Julius Schwartz. We got Brian Talbot. I'm curious. So let's
see this little Watchman button on him.
Right. So Brian Talbot, born in 1952 in England, draws and writes with his right hand, and what does that say? Worked with Brainstorms Comics, worked on the Omega Report. I do not know this stuff. Although his character from Brainstorm Comics was Americanized into Alan Moore's Chester Williams and Swamp Thing. That's interesting.
Just again, I'm unfamiliar with him. Just seeing Wigan. I wonder if he caught some English football. Sometimes we say soccer on this. Anyway, I wonder if he was a Wigan fan for the footy. Man,
whoa, that's a picture.
That
is something. We have Sam Keith, artist and painter. Wayne Boring, who had worked on Superman. Right here. We have, okay, so it feels like, at least for me, I am definitely less versed in, or I'm not seeing as many. So we got some good ones coming up here. So we've got Bob McLeod, artist and letterer, Martin Nodell, writer, artist, painter, and letterer. And Eric Larson, who did, I think, Savage Dragon, if I remember
Man,
right.
this is definitely early '90s, and I'm just saying that as hairlines go over time, the fact that Eric Larson still has some hair on top of his head there, that's some good stuff. So yeah, his major claim to fame is Sam Keith, the Max.
Sam Keith.
All right,
Did I
all right,
hop over Sam?
Campbell, put us to
Oh,
work.
yes, I'm sorry. Uh, there we go. There it is. There's Sam Keith with that very eclectic sweatshirt right there, or sweater. And yeah, there we are. So Sam Keith, uh, born in Sacramento, 1963, still lives in Sacramento, at least at the time of the card. We can't figure out what hand he draws with, but had
Switch
worked
hitter,
on,
perhaps. I don't know.
right. Matt had worked on the in Comico's Primer comic line. I remember that Comico line. They used to produce, I think, Evangeline, the Robotech comics, a few other titles. Grendel, I think, also at one time.
Could be. Not sure, but could be.
Had also but he had all this. So Sam had also worked on what is it? I thought I just lost it. Titles with Dark Horse, and had worked on Wolverine and Marvel. Marvel Comics Presents Judge Dredd, a bunch of other things.
Well, and at the very, very bottom line, the last line, if we can slide back over, is Fantagraphics. So Fantagraphics is, maybe not as well known, well, for sure not as well known as your Marvel and your DC, maybe less so than some of your other studios, but a powerhouse within the indie publishers. Currently, our cartoonist kayfabe channel proprietors, Jim Rugg and Ed Piskor, have their work published through Fantagraphics. And if you're not watching cartoonist kayfabe or trying to pick up on their massive knowledge and exploration of the industry, then maybe that's something you're missing out on. But so Jim Campbell, if you got any words to drop on Sam Keith, please do. But note that extreme wild interpretation of Wolverine, often exaggerating the hair. That's again, this is the way John Byrne's drawing Wolverine. Here's Dave Cockrum drawing some Wolverine. Okay, I'm gonna draw some Wolverine with some over the top hairstylings there. So, oh boy.
Honestly, even though we went through this, I went through this exercise of getting this pack. There were a handful of cards that I wanted to get my hands on, and this is one of them. So this is none other than Neil Gaiman, just a iconic figure when it comes to the Sandman. He still does fantastic work on other titles today. His Nevermore site, I visit every so often, like to buy random things. Yes, but born in, was that 1960 in England, still lives in England, writes with his right hand, and had started his career with Future Shocks, a series in British comics.
Again, if you have nothing else on your resume but just this one landmark character, the fact that he's been generating the Sandman character across decades now, a major significant contribution. Obviously, he's been able to find success outside the industry also. A lot of his material has been adapted into TV or streaming or movie formats. And
I mean, I have fond memories of walking to, what was the comic book store across from the Burger King on Devon? What was the name of that place?
Everybody's,
which I can never remember because I want to say it's Yesterday's, but it's not Yesterday's. So,
right? Because Yesterday's over by Wrigley, and Everybody is over by Burger King.
It makes no. But I would walk over there and I would pick up my Sandman comics from that place back in the day. So I love this card.
Just again, the purple background, the sunglasses,
It's
looking like a leather jacket. So yeah, that
something
was.
like, yes, yes.
But gee, before you go on to the next
Yeah,
pick,
yeah,
can we
please.
shuffle back a little bit?
Yeah,
Roy Thomas
Roy
was in
Thomas.
there, and let's go Roy and let's go Julie Schwartz.
All
I
right.
like that guy's Hawaiian shirt too. I'm not familiar with his work, but I like his
Um,
fashion sense.
all right. We got Wayne, Sam. We got, wait a minute. Oh, Roy Thomas. Here we go.
Okay, Roy Thomas. So again, if we're going to make the comparison of a switch hitter in baseball, batting lefty and batting righty, Roy Thomas is a switch hitter between Marvel and DC. You cannot discount, again, a major player shaping things in a significant way. So as Stan Lee started to become the man of the people, Stan Lee, and pull back from the editorial chair and pull back from writing. So DC was a larger body, a larger organization. You had more writers, you had more artists. At Marvel, there were some other writers and some other contributors, but mostly Stan Lee was doing the bulk of the writing. So as time passes, then Stan passes the baton to Roy Thomas. Roy picked up, as we can see here, it's a long list of writing credits there. He also had a particular period piece interest on both the Marvel and DC side. He would revisit World War II material in the 70s through the Invaders book, through the All-Star Squadron book. At the time, I wasn't picking up a lot of DC books. I was more picking up the Marvel books, but All-Star Squadron was one of the few DC books that I was consistently, that I have a good stretch, a run from that era. Another serious legend, Roy Thomas.
I honestly had not heard of Roy Thomas before, but looking at the credits, he co-created the Vision, Havoc, Valkyrie, Red Sonja, and the modern Black Knight, and he co-wrote the screenplay for Fire and Ice, which I've seen one time ever, I think on Betamax, and also wrote the story for Conan the Destroyer. That's the one with Wilt Chamberlain, I think, in it, and scripts for TV cartoons. Yeah, that's awesome. That is cool. And then
again,
we got
just as a general, non-specific note, some of Roy Thomas's vocabulary choices both maybe haven't aged well, and maybe were even controversial at the time. So again, we're not trying to dive deep into controversies, but just to acknowledge that probably some of the stuff that he wrote at that time would now not make it to print or be edited or have a cautionary note. If we can flip Roy back and hit Julie Schwartz for a minute, talking about a non-Marvel contributor, a legend on the DC side of things. Again, the shape of the DC universe wouldn't be what it was as it is without Julie Schwartz in the editing chair. Having listened to interviews with Neil Adams, just their how were they deciding to create the second Green Lantern, and what name should he have, where they landed on John Stewart. So that's just, again, that's one off the top of my head example of Julie Schwartz having a major hand in things. But yeah, when you sat in the editor's chair back in that time, back in that era, the way it would go would be, the editor would discuss out the story with the writer and had a major influence on all the books on the slate. So Julie Schwartz was definitely that guy at DC. If you're looking at his card, he's a little tiny yellow background.
Oh, this is right here. Oh my goodness. Oh, it was killing me. It was killing me. I was going through all of the cards all over.
I wasn't sure if you were opening another deck, and I was trying to buy time to again unwrap the package.
My
but
goodness.
Yeah, here's somewhere. Okay, so I'm not sure which channel, but recently I watched a presentation that he had, like a PowerPoint or a pre-PowerPoint. So a slideshow, a non-PowerPoint slideshow that he did on maybe the 50th anniversary of Superman. So he was at some kind of Comic-Con and his slideshow was this total mini documentary, important timestamp thing that he was just telling the tale of Superman from his insider knowledge from having sat in the editor's chair. So again, I don't know the full body of work of Julie Schwartz, but his contributions are many and they are significant.
All right, I'm trying to get this resituated again since I just knocked all kinds of stuff over. We'll go back again. All right, so now we're okay. We're sort of in business. Okay.
Yeah, can we flip Julie over and see
let's
listed
flip
on
them
his
over.
bio?
Let's flip them over.
All right, born in 1915, so even just arriving on this earth just a touch before your Will Eisners and your John Kennedys and your grandmas if you're my wife. Okay.
Born in the Bronx, lives in Queens, writes with his right hand, went to the College of City of New York, and made his mark in science fiction before lending his editorial touch to DC, where he helped to create, define, and refine the superhero concept.
So I'm glad for those prompts and those reminders and that biography there. So a major science fiction guy, and that's why. So for example, in the Flash comic books from way back in the day, you get Flash Fact, and there'd be maybe either a proper science or a pseudoscience reference about something scientific, or they'd list off like what was the distance from the Earth to the JLA satellite, and they'd have vocabulary words like apogee and epigee. So as far as comics hitting both an entertainment and an educational value, so they were legit dropping kernels of actual science and science fiction into various DC titles, which is a tone set by and a practice nurtured by Julie Schwartz, major contributor to the game.
Can I just say, going back to this Neil Gaiman card, why this picture? Neil has co-written books, the books Guilty Beyond Belief and Good Omens. Not Sandman, not Death, or
so right for well, Julie's got himself on his card.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, Jack had Captain America. So interesting choice.
Interesting choice.
Listing Barry Windsor Smith as the artist, who's definitely a significant major artist in the industry. So again, 1992 is another timestamp. 1992. Svengoolie had not even returned to the airwaves yet. We were still looking at Stoogapalooza and the Rich Coase show. Wasn't done with college yet, you or me. So yeah, I a little bit blurry through the years, but hey.
So we have yet another duplicate here with Joe Staton, who had worked on E-Man. Yeah, okay. And now we get to the other card that I wanted to get. I think there's like a handful of cards that I really wanted to see, which is none other here than Larry Hama, writer,
young
artist.
Larry there. Good golly.
I mean, he is looking very studly here. So Larry Hama, I don't even have to look at the back. A Japanese American artist. He had worked at Marvel, and he's a big part of what G.I. Joe is about. Yes, exactly, Yo Joe. Yeah, he was a Vietnam veteran, and so he brought that dimension of himself and his story into the comics. There's a favorite comic book for many G.I. Joe fans, issues 26 and 27, where it gets into the backstory of Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. And there's a part in issue 26 where they're in Vietnam with Stalker. Anyways, I would love to get Larry Hama's autograph someday, or at least just to say thank you for bringing, because GI Joe was a big part of my childhood.
Well, like I say, birthday June 7th. So as we just did a Rich Coe's birthday tribute, maybe that's a future episode, is to knock down a Larry Hama birthday tribute. That would be really sweet. But as we can see now here, connecting the dots, assisted Wally Wood, had dealings in business with Neil Adams. First solo art job, Iron Fist. Okay, that's kind of important. I would say, again, a Power Man and Iron Fist fan that I am, that's really good. Look at that wide range. Again, over a lot of decades, you're going to touch a lot of different books.
Oh yeah, he even writes the dossiers on the back of the action figures for GI Joe. So all those cards he wrote the bios for.
Now, again, to do some dots connecting or some interweaving here. Mm-hmm. So Greg Capullo was a Spawn artist and then a Batman artist, and for significant blocks of time on each title. So Greg Capullo tells the story, maybe in his Kevin Smith interview, probably maybe in different interviews, but for sure in speaking with Kevin Smith. A young Greg Capullo is making art submissions to Larry Hama, and Larry Hama's telling him, "You don't have it yet, kid. You're not good enough. What you're doing here, it looks like Mr. Potato Head. So get back to the drawing board." I'm paraphrasing. Get back to the drawing board and get this Mr. Potato Head stuff into something that you. So then Capullo then intentionally tells the story that way, and then he comes back and he says, as Capullo developed his perspective or his vanishing line or whatever the exact set of techniques was, then it became a more coherent face or a more coherent depiction of a character working on his anatomy, lining up for body positioning. So Capullo came to later on, if I remember the story correctly, appreciate the bluntness of Larry Hama telling him, "Get that Mr. Potato Head stuff back to the practice room, kid. You don't have it yet."
Nice. So here we have Mike Barr, our writer and editor. Now we have Bo Smith, who is best known for his Tips for Real Men series. I don't know that one. We've got Clive Barker, just a major figure in the horror genre of comics, and had done other things as well here. I'm not versed enough here. So he had worked on what is it? He's from England, lives in Beverly Hills, writes and draws with his right hand, and climbed the ladder in British theater before making the triumphant move into fiction in 1985 with the books of blood novels.
Films, Hellraiser, Hellbound. I mean, that's, yeah. So again, a guy that literally leapt off, literally and figuratively leapt off the comics page and made it to the big screen. So that's, again, I don't know that much about what he's done, but clearly it was good enough to keep his career in motion.
Well, certainly, yeah. You know him from film, or I know less about his comic book career. Oh, what the postman? I was wondering about that too. Is it a gun? Is it like a sword of some kind? What the heck is that?
Man, I was hoping it was
like a gun.
An art.
It is
implement.
A shotgun. It's a shotgun.
Man,
yeah, that's
stuff that might not fly in the current time. I was thinking he looked like I'm sorry for not knowing the guy's name, but the Tim Allen, the Tool Time, the guy with the beard, the similar looking beard. So I can't recall the actor's name right now, but I was thinking there's some similarity there.
Right, the sidekick guy. Yeah. Right. Here we have Gary Quepitz, artist.
Unfamiliar to me.
Yes.
Home Improvement, right. But the actor's name.
Yeah.
Boy, the actor's
that
name
one
is,
again.
is...
Oh, we got Jim Starlin,
All
writer,
right.
artist, painter, and colorist.
Again, a youthful
Right?
Jim Starlin. Yeah, gotten used to his face looking perhaps different and in a more contemporary kind of a. So, but that's Jim Starlin right there. He doesn't want to be contained on the page. He's a slippery guy. He's going to create some characters that had some elusiveness, some sci-fi, some outer space tribute there. So, okay, interesting that we're looking at writes and draws right-handed. Born in '49 out of Detroit. What do we got here? Captain Marvel, Master Kung Fu, Avengers, the Thing team ups. I really like the Marvel 2-in-1, Avengers annuals, Warlock. So let's get on the big stuff here. So Warlock and Thanos. So Thanos quest down there further deep in his credits. So clearly Thanos had a significant impact on the Marvel cinema universe through its unprecedented run of interconnected films. So again, you don't have Thanos, or at least not the same Thanos, without Jim Starlin. And again, we'll see. Some of his other characters may yet have some future impact off the page into the MCU.
Yeah, it's really a shame, right? Because you look at these cards, you look at these artists, and for many of them, they didn't get to see what had come of their creations in terms of films, but perhaps even worse, they didn't get paid. That the rights for all of these characters that now earn hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions, none of that goes to their families or to their estates.
Yeah, that is a major thing beyond the scope of the current episode of Fanboy Cantina.
On a more serious point, yeah, right. So Sergio Aragonese, is it Aragonese? Aragonese, behind Gru the Wanderer, and what else did he do?
Well,
there was that thing with a pig, right? Wasn't there a? No, am I making that up?
Well, let's slide the card over.
All right, let's slide the card.
Beyond the pages of the comics themselves in the comic adjacent land, we're talking some Mad Magazine stuff. So again, it's born in Spain, born in 37. So again, of that older generation, 20 years after your Will Eisner, you have a Sergio Aragonese. Batlash is one of the characters, just jumping in from the middle there. I mostly knew Sergio Aragonese from the corner strips or the sidebar strips out of Mad Magazine. Again, I kept the comics. As I look over to the comic shelf, I didn't really keep the Mad Magazines around, but a magnificent comedic talent contributing to Mad Magazine, Gru the Wanderer. There's a what I find a really comedic story of the creator of Book of Life, Jorge, is speaking of his father doesn't want him to go into comics, and so the father had gone to school with Sergio Aragonese. So the father and son are in line at the comic convention, right, visualizing this, and they say, "I'm going to bring you to my old classmate Sergio, and he's going to tell you it's important not just to be able to draw comics, but you have to make a proper use of your talents." And so that's pretty interesting. And again, the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel just within recent weeks had a long format interview with Sergio, and he again the whole story of coming to this country with not so much in your pockets and finding a way to let your artistic talents and let your creative survival talents connect you to finding work. So it's a great and entertaining story that he tells. And so after coming out of Spain, also then his dad, Sergio's own dad, was involved in movie production in Mexico. So that would be a lot. He has a decent amount of stories of that too, that he'd be at his college campus, get a bunch of people together to come back and be extras for whatever the movie was that they were shooting that his dad was contributing to in Mexico. So again, somebody who's been on this earth for that many years has been in a great many formats, from Mad Magazine to the comics page to engineering and to have some contribution to motion pictures also. Sergio's good people.
That's great. And now I just remembered the name of the pig or whatever, and it's Cerebus, and I don't think it's Sergio Aragonese.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit similar look, but yeah,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
different
No,
thing.
I think there was like crossovers between Gru and it was. I just dropped a card on the ground. That William Messner Lobes. Here we have Charles Vess in his 80s finest, and we've got Klaus Janson, who had worked on Logan's Run and some other things. Just quickly looking at his card. Um, how how many more packs of these should we open up, Mr. C?
I
You
don't
know,
know, Bill. We want to pop in another one, and then we can revisit this
we can
this
look at,
format or
yes.
this subgenre within our channel for another time.
That sounds like a good plan. All right, so let me try to. If you are watching this later, feel free to just post in the comments about your favorite memories about any of these artists. And I do feel bad that we're hopping over some of these folks because of time, but then also, yeah, I'm not familiar with their work, unfortunately. But that's kind of the great thing about having cards like these. You can take a look and get to know some folks. So here we have our Mark Greenwald,
Oh my gosh!
writer, penciler, colorist, and editor. What is the deal with that? That is like an '80s shirt.
That is very 80s, and again, Marvel guys, Marvel. That was one of the things. I don't know who said it, but it was in relation to the Julie Schwartz era. DC was shirt and tie.
Right.
Marvel, good luck on having a full on shirt. But Mark, unfortunate. So we can see born in '53. I can't remember the exact year that he passed on. I can't
It was
remember.
in the '90s, right? It was. I think it was shortly after these cards. These cards are '92.
It makes sense. Gone too soon. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was cancer. You hear anybody speak on Mark Grunwald, and they're saying what a kind-hearted person he was, how passionate he was about treating people correctly, as well as passionate about writing the material. So again, looking at his greatest hits, if you will, we got some Spider Woman, some Marvel 2-in-1, some Thor, a major contributor to the Marvel Handbook, which that was a revolutionary thing. First, we're going to just have a flip book, a reference book back in house, and then however the ideas came to pass is let's put this out into the world and sell it and make money off it. And I was chomping that up in 5th grade, 6th grade, because you got to learn. So DP7 comics. That was
That was the New Universe time, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah. New Universe was something I didn't jump in on, but definitely. Anyway, so yeah, you can see the list of characters goes on and on for Grunwald. Definitely a top guy. Definitely a big deal.
See, I like the New Universe. I think maybe me and Mr. Campbell were among those few. I used to pick up, what was it? Strike Force Morituri. That was a comic book that I used to get in the day. There was a question. What is Sergio holding? And that's a great question.
Thank you, Jim Campbell.
I think that's an oversized fountain pen.
Could be. We could be at a novelty fountain pen.
Yeah, it could be a novelty fountain pen. Could be something.
It could be an early flip phone.
Could be something inappropriate. Don't know. I'm going to go with fountain pen here.
The same thing. If only the chase downs, maybe that's something we can post. Maybe we can't get to Sergio directly ourselves, but maybe we can post the card somewhere to somebody who is able to get to Sergio. And but I'm shooting high here. He doesn't owe us anything. But I'm curious what's the man got in his hands.
All right, now we're getting more duplicates. Here's our good friend Bob McLeod again. Wait. No, am I actually? I just opened another pack, and I have essentially the same order of cards again.
Well, probably as it was coming off the little whatever
What?
machine and delivery system.
Come
Probably,
on.
maybe, the,
I got another Neil. I got, and then this one right next to it. And then what the heck happened here?
we're building mysteries upon mysteries, which we're not
I'm
capable
opening up
of
another
answering.
pack. I'm opening up a separate pack. That's kind of throwing me off.
What I am able to say is that Bob McLeod credited as co-creator of the New Mutants. So again, we had the original 5 X-Men created by Stan and Jack. And then we had a time where Neil Adams and Roy Thomas were adding on some other X-Men characters. We had the Len Wein and Dave Cockrum making significant contributions. And then fast forwarding up to the early 80s, the New Mutants came to be. And so that was Claremont and Bob McLeod. And he didn't stay with the book all that long. And again, not to dig into the whys and the wherefores, but again, if not for him, then your New Mutants characters don't come out the same way. Then your later on X-Force doesn't come out the same way. And so again, a major contributor to the industry, and then specifically to the X-Men family.
So here we got Reed Crandall, artist. We've got Lou Fine, also comic book artist. We have Steve Rude, artist and painter. Had worked on what is that? That is who is that? That's not from First Comics. I'm trying to remember what character that is. Oh, the Nexus, the next Nexus.
There you go.
That's I was good. I knew it wasn't Cyclops, but anyways, we've got Eddie Campbell, artist, writer, and lecturer, and Kurt Swann, best known for his work in Superman.
Okay, so Kurt Swann, the definitive look for Superman for a lot of years, and maybe even at the expense of Kirby. When Kirby was trying to draw some Superman stuff, there was some edits on anyway. But let's not just reference him by way of Jack Kirby. Just on his own right, Kurt Swann left a lasting mark and created for many eyes across many years the visual, the house style for Superman. And again, if you only have one giant size thing on your resume, on your bio, then everything else after that is gravy or bonuses. But a major contributor to the Superman books.
We've got Gerard Jones, a writer, and then we've got a bunch of duplicates. I am having like kind of childhood flashback trauma of you have your allowance, right? You've got only so much that you can buy with your allowance, and then you go to get a pack of. Actually, I think back in the day you could get like 3 or 4 packs of cards at Cut Rate Toys, and then now you end up with this guy's hat, and then we got Sam Keith again. But here's at least one new one. We've got Harvey Pekar, creator of Crumb, and I believe I've seen the movie. There was a movie done with about his life. And I'm thinking, I don't know why I'm breaking it up because I can't remember the main actor.
Let's take a scan through the stats here. So Harvey's born in 1939 out of Cleveland. The very same Cleveland that gives us the creative team behind Superman himself. So Cleveland, kind of whatever's in the water over there, a hotbed for turning out comics legends. You got your Crumb, you got your American Splendor. Definitely an influence on a lot of the independent creators. And what's down at the bottom? Letterman? What's he good? Oh, okay. So maybe that's something to YouTube out is how
His
did he do with
appearances on
those
Letterman.
on the Letterman show?
Yeah, yeah. Well, good. All right. Well, we. I am frustrated out of the handful of packs that there's this many duplicates, and there's a ginormous stack of of other packs to still be open. Um, this is actually kind of fun, to take a look at these many artists. There's like also a time dimension to it as well that is from the '90s. So you don't have well, you don't have a lot of artists that uh, more people would be more recently familiar with, but. Um, in some cases, they are still doing work, right? I think it was the one of them where uh, he was still doing shows and things, even though he's been long gone at this point. Um, oh, this is nice. This is Jim Shooter, uh,
Oh wow.
editor in chief of Marvel at one time, major figure, and behind many of the characters that we now know and love.
Significant about Shooter is the way he broke into the industry during high school. He starts sending in scripts to DC and then ends up to be a paid scripter for the Legion of Superheroes, as it says right there. So again, not maybe not a player's coach, maybe a let's win at all costs. But
Right.
again, you I don't know how to break down the chart of how much credit to give to the creative team on its own. So for example, your Claremont and your Byrne, or your Claremont and your Cockrum. But absolutely, there's no way that Jim Shooter wasn't a significant influence across all the books of Marvel. So I guess I'm kind of comparing him to my comments previous on Julius Schwartz. Uh, Shooter, maybe Marvel doesn't succeed and blow up the exact same way in the 80s that it does, if not for Shooter, helming the ship, keeping the minnow from getting lost. So
Yeah.
definitely important guy in the industry.
No, definitely important in that time. Um, all right. Well, uh, we could keep on going through packs, but we've
I
been.
think we're good for
I think we're
now.
good. I think we're good here. So I'm going to remove the close up cam. What else should we cover here, Mister C?
Well, just as a parting note, we know 1 week ago tonight we did our Rich Coe's birthday
Oh, yeah.
tribute. So today is the actual birthday of Rich Coe. So if we could just bring in for one more time here for the Sven cam. I was hoping maybe Casual Crafter would be around tonight, because we're looking at Casual Crafter's channel. I'm getting a little bit inspired for trying to do some stuff here. So since we last met, as we said, you got your Horribles and your Izzy Rizzies as sponsors for Sven, and the current Rubber Chicken sponsor is Archie McPhee. So there I'm finding Archie McPhee's got some mini rubber chickens around. So I tried to to simulate rubber chickens in motion for Sven to dodge or block, or let me do it just a little spin here for some getting the t-shirt and the background and the
Very
coffin
nice.
lid right next to him. So again, just happy actual real true 70th birthday to Rich Coe's. Oh, there's my reflection in the that's enough.
Like
We
a
don't need more.
second cam.
We don't need more of me. Oh, there we go.
Oh
And
boy.
there's the rubber chickens in motion. So again, just happy birthday to Rich Coe's, and having a lot of fun doing our different things on the channel week to week. We're not sure exactly what we're coming with next, but we'll definitely try to figure out something that would hopefully be a little entertaining, maybe a little educational for the viewers. We appreciate for people being along for the ride. Jim Campbell, thanks for dropping your minutes and your time and your comments with us tonight. And we look forward to getting back together with everybody again next time around.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you are watching later, as always, we appreciate you. post in the comments. Love to continue the discussions. I wanted to flip this up quickly. This is from a friend of ours, and he's got this cabinet of comic book art in kind of a, what is it, collage format.
He might have said decoupage. I would have said
Decoupage.
collage, but yeah, again, this is something that we can revisit. We were on the theme of cards. Clearly, these creator profile baseball style cards.
Oh,
So he was showing he did some
I'm
other
clicking on some of your stuff here. Sorry.
Well, that's the close up of the
Oh yeah.
2 shots ago. But seeing as we've had a good full conversation for the night, and hey, behind the curtain, I don't got too much more in me to say. We'll be back for some Moon Knight business. The Moon Knight trailer, the latest one was. They must have timed it that way. Thank you, Jim Campbell, for dropping that knowledge on us. So definitely we'll have some Moon Knight stuff to cover soon enough. And again, thanks for tuning in to the Fanboy Cantina one more time. Happy to be here. Catch you guys around.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night. This has been the Fanboy Cantina. Take care.